everybody, welcome to Bones Collector. Today on Bones Collector we're continuing our series where Lori and I are playing our way through our board gaming library. So we're going to play a couple of games, 2 or 3 games each week, and make a video about it and pass it on to you, and I hope you enjoy them. Hey everybody, welcome to Bones Collector. Today on Bones Collector, Lori and I just got done playing my Father's Day gift, Freshwater Fly. Freshwater Fly is a 2019 title. It's by Brian Shure, and I hope that's the way you say his name. It's spelled S-U-H-R-E, but I'm gonna call Brian Shure, and he can correct me when he sees me at a convention or something. But it's for 1 to 4 players, and it's a dice rolling, set collection, open drafting, push your luck game, and the winning condition is most points. So you want to weave your strategy together, catching fish, so that you can get the most points. Let's talk a little bit about the production of this game. It's by Bellwether Games, and man, I mean, it's Coldwater Crown was very nice, and this is a very nice production. I mean, a really nice rule book, thick paper, which I really like. It's not a flimsy paper notebook, and it's got a lot of pictures in it, a large font,
a lot of examples.
Yeah, a lot of examples and everything to show you how to play the game. And the cards are all linen stock. The board is beautiful. It's linen, very pretty. I mean, I really like the looks of this game, don't you? The fish are very colorful on the cards. These hatch tokens are big wooden tokens. The dice are sculpted. This casting token is nice. All the tiles are very thick and linen. These player boards that you have, that have a reel on them, they're nice. Doesn't matter, that's loose. I mean, that's just, you're going to have a hatch token in there when you're spinning that around until you land that fish. But production-wise, this game's outstanding. And these are rock cards. All the cards are linen. I hope I said that. And it's just a very nicely produced game. I mean, just like Coldwater Crown. So that's cool. I enjoy that. The reason why I was so interested in this game, of course, is because one of my favorite games from 2022, matter of fact, it tied for my favorite game of the year with Orichalcum by Bruno Cathala, and that was Merchants of the Dark Road. So I wanted to seek Brian's other titles out, and when I found out he did Coldwater Crown, I knew about Coldwater Crown, but I hadn't played it, so I got a cheap copy of that off some market or something, and played that, and I really enjoyed it. Oh, we played at a convention, didn't we? We played at a convention
first,
and I liked it, so we bought a copy. And then I wanted to play this because they had a couple of different mechanisms in it, and Lori got this for me for Father's Day, and it's just been laying around the house.
From the publisher.
Yeah, and we just got done playing it 3 times. And we got it from the publisher, and it's a very nicely done game. And here's what you're going to do in this game. You're going to catch as many fish as you can. But the first player to catch 7 fish ends the game. I mean, you're going to finish the round, but the game is going to end. So it happens pretty quick. We played this under an hour, 40 minutes, 45?
It probably took us a little over an hour the first 2 times. The third time, we played under an hour.
So you're kind of racing.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to catch 7 fish, but you want to do them in such a way as you're going to score points. And on the board here, it's printed some of the common goals that you'll have for everybody. A set collection thing going on with the colors of the cards. The first person to catch 7 fish gets a bonus of 2 points, and the person with the most coho fish gets 6 points. Then on each player board, I guess I should have showed you when I had that up, on each player board it has goals that just pertain to you. And these are the hatch tokens that you collect, you'll get bonus points for. This is a certain fish, you get an extra 2 points for, and if you get this set collection of fish right here, you get extra 4 points, and if you get hatch tokens of 4 different colors, you get an extra 5 points. So you're going to complete those goals. Plus, the rock cards that you see on the board here, you collect those when you catch a fish that's orthogonally adjacent to that. You're going to take one of these rock cards, and there's also some scoring opportunities there. Not to mention some benefits that you can use throughout the game to help you do certain things, because you can get into a pickle. And this, for instance, you can spend finesse here on your player board and do some of these things like spin your reel or make a cast into a certain column, and you can see the -1, 2, and 3, and I had all 3 of those cards, and so I wanted to keep my finesse economy going. And just by, when you draft a die, you don't need to use it for anything else. You want to move that finesse token up. That's one of the options that you have. You have three things you can do. You can cast to try to catch a fish. You can take a die and move your finesse token, and you can
Reel.
Yes. Yes. You can spin your reel on your player board, which would already have a hatch token in it from a fish being caught before. So what you're going to do is, we have with my dice tray. I don't know. Here, I don't have my dice.
Here.
No, that's cool. So we're gonna. I haven't had a dice tray, but you roll the dice and you are going to take all these dice and start drafting them one at a time. And then you'll make a decision out of those 1 to 3 things you're going to do. Again, it's cast, move your finesse token 2 spaces, or move your reel. And when you move your reel, you've already got a fish on the hook. There's a couple things to think about. The color of your fly. So you have different colors of these flies, and they match these hatch tokens on these hatch tiles down here at the bottom of the board. For you to have an opportunity to catch one of the fishes in those columns, you have to have that particular color fly on your player board, and then when you put this casting token, for instance, I have a blue fly on my player board right now, I would put this in a column that has a blue token, a blue hatch token. Now, it's not just that, because there's this strike deck, and the opponent's going to take that strike deck when I'll put my casting token there and I'll say hit me, and they're going to mix these up, and there's 4 cards in here, only one of them has a fish on it, and that means if that card comes up, you've hooked that fish. Well, if you don't, that's 1 out of 4, it's 25% chance that you're going to hit. That's pretty slim. So when you're looking at these hatch tokens, it's nice to have 2 or 3 in a row. That way if you miss, you can do what they call drift. So you can drift downstream and try again, and those cards that you missed on are out of the deck. So now I have a better chance. And when I go to my second spot, I can draw 2 cards for free. First time you only draw 1 strike card. Second time you draw 2 strike cards. So boom, I got a fish. In the second column, if there happened to be a blue hatch token, I could catch a fish on that particular column. And you'll also have the opportunity to use these finesse tokens, and you can get up to 4 of them, and they do various things. And I like explaining this game to you because it is very fishy. I mean, it makes you feel like you're fishing. And these finesse tokens, this finesse token gives you things like putting this drag piece on your fish. Let's say you catch a steelhead fish, which is a goldfish, and it's going to start on the rightmost space of your board. That's going to take you 3 revolutions on this reel to move this fish down and off your board. You start here in the gold, and you'll take, for instance, this blue hatch token because you caught it in that column and you have a blue fly, and then you're going to have to start drafting dice and counting spaces and moving this reel around, and every revolution this fish will move 1 more space. That's 1 revolution, 2 revolution, and on 3rd revolution you've caught that fish, and that fish is 6 points. Now here's the problem also. On these fish there's also a number, and that's the value of the drag. So you're going to have to subtract that from the dice that you're drafting out of the pool, and unless you cover that with this drag token, then it doesn't have any effect. And I'm telling you, I don't know how many times I drafted a dice and I said, oh, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, you got to subtract that too. I did that quite often. I mean,
we both did. It's easy to do.
You have to play this game a little bit in order to keep remembering those things. And it's important that you do that. You don't want to skip that step because that's part of the complexity of this game. And then on your reel, as I showed you here, there's different benefits that you can get. And that's placing your drag token. That's getting one of these specialty tiles that you can take, put in your play area, use it, and you flip it over and put it back on the board. And every one of these is pretty nice. They give you a special benefit, and you want to save it to when you really need it. That's that icon. This one is to move up on your finesse token on the board 1 space, and you get special benefits where, depending on where that finesse token is. This space here allows you, if you caught a green fish, you get to move forward if you land on this space. If you caught a goldfish, you have to move back. And the goldfish have the most points. So, yeah, I mean, it's a challenge. There's a little bit to this game. I was pleasantly surprised with the complexity of it. I like Cold Water Crown a lot too, though. It was I think, I don't know. Cold Water Crown is a tournament fishing thing. And you people that don't fish, you'd still like playing these games. I mean, you know, how many times, I mean, you've been fishing quite a bit in your life, right?
I mean, I've been fishing. Yeah. I'm not a fisherman. Let's put it that way.
And I don't think you have to be to enjoy this.
No, it's dice rolling set collection with fish.
This world. And it's a pretty production.
It is nice.
So it's nice to play. And you can see, I mean, you get this draw bag full of hatch tokens. I didn't point that out. And then again, you're catching these fish and trying to make set collections to score the most points you possibly can, and try and do these items here on your player board and the ones that are on the common board.
Yeah, there's 4 player boards, and they're all 4 have different personal goals.
Yes, so that's pretty nice too. So it gives you a little bit of variability. I like this game because there aren't many games about fishing. And matter of fact, I can think of 2. Cold Water Crown and Freshwater Fly. And I like Brian Shore's designs in both of these games because you feel like you're fishing in both instances. And that's pretty neat, and it's something that he also transferred into Merchants of the Dark Road. When I play these 2 fishing games, I feel like I'm fishing, and when I play Merchants of the Dark Road, I feel like a merchant on the Dark Road. So I'm tipping my hat to Brian Shore right now because he's got 3 games that I really like for the reason of just the thematic ties to the mechanics. It makes you feel like you're in that world. I enjoy that, all 3 of these games, for that reason. Merchants of the Dark Road is one of my favorite, most thematic Euro games I've ever played. I absolutely adore that game. It's very high up in my top 100. This game here, I really enjoy. I think anybody that would like, it's not heavy, but you know, light to medium. Light to medium. Same with Cold Water Crown.
I think this may be a little heavier than Cold Water Crown.
There's a little bit more of it going on with this one. That's because you can mitigate a bunch of the things going on in here by these finesse tokens and these rock cards that you get, and you have to pay attention and use them. And these specialty tiles up here. Same thing. There's just so many different ways, so many things you can do to mitigate some of the things that are happening to you, because you can get in a corner and you have to remember, oh, wait a minute, I can spend a finesse and move one of these hatch tokens to a new hatch tile. You know, that's pretty neat. I can, in the middle of my turn, I can use a finesse and change out this fly because I don't see a blue where I want to go. The fish I need for this set collection, I have no coho. My opponent's already got one coho. I need to keep up with the Joneses and try and get a coho fish. Well, I can't get one where there's a blue fly, so I'm gonna have to use a finesse and get me a green fly, and now I can get a coho fish because there's one, happens to be one in that column. So, I mean, those are things you're thinking about while you're playing this game. And then when you get these rock cards, you have to keep these in the back of your mind. Okay, you know, if I spend 3 finesse, which is a lot, 3 finesse, you can cast in the column of the dice number 5 and catch a fish in that column, or you can turn your reel 3. Now that's pretty nice because you don't have to use a die to do it. So you want to keep those in mind, and it helped me really in this last game because I was able to use those a couple of times and turn that reel without using my die that I'm going to use on my turn that I selected. And then once you do those things, you can select that die and turn your reel some more. So you're able to land those fish as quickly as possible. Those goldfish are really hard. I got 2 of them. Did you? You had 2. So we both had 2 goldfish. I mean, it's hard to get those in because they start clear at the far right on your player board. And I mean, you have to work to get those fish landed and in your boat. So yeah, I mean, it's a fun game. I like it because it's a different theme, and the theme itself matches well with the mechanics to make you feel like you're in that fishing world. And that's hard to do. That's hard to do.
You're reeling in the fish. I mean, it's fun turning the reel, reeling the fish in.
Yeah,
it's thematic. You can only have 1 fish on a line at one time. So that's hard to remember.
You have to have a fly, and you use different flies to catch different fish. I mean, to match them up with the hatch tokens on the board. And it's just, I think it's a perfect balance, again, of mechanics and complexity so that you don't feel overwhelmed, but there's enough here that keeps you interested, and the decisions are interesting themselves. And you feel like you're fishing. Hey, I can't imagine a guy that loves to fish not liking this game. And if you have someone in your life that enjoys fishing, you might want to try and tell them about Freshwater Fly, or the sister game to that, and I brought it out here so you can see it, Cold Water Crown. And we did a video about Cold Water Crown.
About that one,
and we talked about that one. Now, I would say this. If you are getting a game for a fish, someone you know that loves to fish, and you want to teach them a board game, I would go with this one first, wouldn't you?
I think so, yes.
I think this is a little easier to learn, but they're both fantastic. I guess it just depends on what you like to do. Again, this is tournament fishing, and this would be like you out fishing in the river by yourself. And it has a solo variant if you want to do that.
And there's a big log in there too. You can keep track.
And I mean, it's pretty neat. I just I want to tell you about it. It was my Father's Day present, and I really enjoyed playing it today. Again, in under an hour, which is where we really like to play. And I really like Brian Schur in the games he's making. Not so much revolutionary in what they're doing, but the way he ties the theme into the mechanics, he's doing a great job with that. And sometimes that can really push a game to a new level and make it a little more fun than it would normally be. And I like that. And again, a lot of fun. I mean, if you like fishing, you'll like these games. If you don't like fishing, but you know someone who does, you might want to tell them about this game. And we enjoyed playing it. So I wanted to tell you about it. And that's it for today's video. I wanted to wish every one of you a happy 4th of July coming up. We're going to be at Dice Tower Con East here in Orlando. Lori and I playing games as fast as we can go out of the library, see how many of them we can get in, because we like to figure out how, play games out of Tom Vassal's library. I think it's 2,000 games. 2,200
plus, they said.
2,200 plus games in his library, and we try to play as many as we can to see if they play well at 2-player without buying them, so that I can come home and tell you guys about them, maybe acquire a copy and so forth. And I like telling you all about good games that you can pick up and play and have a good time. And Freshwater Fly and Cold Water Crown are 2 of those games. Please take a second. When you take a second, and it's hard to do sometimes, to just give us a like. We appreciate it very much, and please comment. We love hearing from you, and we try to get to those comments as quickly as we possibly can. But I love every one of you. Thank you for watching The Bones Collector, and I will see you the next time. And please, please, please keep on playing board games, because the best hobby on the planet, because of games like Freshwater Fly by Brian Schur. Thank you, Brian. We appreciate this game very much. Bye-bye. Hey everybody, welcome to Bones Collector, and today Lori and I just got done playing U.S. Telegraph. U.S. Telegraph is an re-implementation of a game called Attica that came out in 2003. This published version is by Super Meeple, and it came out in 2018, and it's a very nice publishing job. I've never played Attica, so I saw this sitting on the floor up at my local game store, and I took the lid off. Hadn't been punched. Somebody had traded it in or something, and we were able to get this for $15, brand spanking new. So let's talk about it a little bit. The production is a nice box this comes in. You have 4-player boards. It's a 2 to 4 player game. A cardboard insert, but Super Meeple does a nice job, and the tokens are thick, and these tiles are thick. Deck of cards that you have that comes with it are adequate. They're not linen cards, but you don't handle these cards anyways. And I even play them with them face up on the table.
Yes, you should handle it, because they should be in your hand.
Yeah, they should be in your hand. I don't. I just lay them face up on the table and play like that. But yeah, U.S. Telegraph. And this is a route building and tile placement game. The winning condition is to create a route from one city to the other, or build all 30 of the buildings off your playmat. And that is how you get victory in this game. Yeah, so we have these stack of tiles. You start out with 4 of them in the middle of the table to start out your board, and then you have these little worker meeples that you earn as the game goes on once you complete a certain area on your player mat, and it has them printed right on here. This is your player mat, and it has a place for every one of your buildings. Each one of them have a specific number on them, and then if you complete this area, you'll get a worker, and it says plus, and it has a little picture of the worker. But this is one area, this is another area, and you can see these guys all around here. And when you complete those areas, you've built those buildings, you get that guy, and you get 1 extra action for that worker. And that really comes in handy. So in this game, on your player mat, you're going to have 4 stacks of buildings, 3 stacks of 8, and 1 stack of 6 buildings. And it has your actions listed on the board. It tells you everything that you can do right here. You can draw 1 building for 0 to 2 actions. You can construct 1 building for 0 to 3 actions. And then draw 1 resource card for each unused action. So if you you're going to either draw buildings or construct buildings, and if you don't use all those actions, you can draw cards off this deck, which are the resource cards, and those are what's going to allow you to build your buildings out on the board here. And you're trying to connect those together. However, if you are going to connect these cities, it's so hard to do. If you are building and trying to lay down and build these buildings in a contiguous fashion, which will benefit you to do so, because some of these are free depending on how you build them. But if you're trying to connect these two cities, you're actually going to have to work from a couple of different settlements, and that costs you extra resources to do so. Otherwise, it's just so easy to block each other. And we've never done that. We're going to have to keep trying, but each time a player has won, one of us has won this game, it's been because we were the first one to get all of our buildings out, because it's so easy to block in this game. And as you empty these building tokens, because you move them from here onto your player mat, and then from your player mat you have to build them on the board. And as you empty these, there's 4, you can see here, 4 stacks of buildings. Once you empty a stack, then you're going to put out one of these tiles. So you can kind of build yourself a route or an avenue or an opportunity for a route to get from city to city. I don't know, gosh.
We blocked. Every time I got close, you blocked me. Every time you got close, I blocked you.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know if it's possible. And again, I've only played it a couple times. Our cats got crazy on us, and I've driven over 100 miles today down taking care of her dad and brothers, so we're a little tired, but this is a rich game. I will tell you that. It's rich, and it's very fun to play and try and work that puzzle of getting these buildings on the board and trying to connect these two cities, and or getting all 30 of your buildings out on the board and built. And the cool thing is that, like, on some of these buildings, and you can see these black ones like this one here, this is building number 50. So once you build that on the board, then all these buildings around it are free. So you can see how that you would want to daisy chain that.
Yep.
But what you are trying not to do is build this number 50 out on the board and get it kind of surrounded with other buildings, and then you can't do all these ones for free then, and you get mad at yourself like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that. You know, that kind of thing. And then you can see this number 10 has black arrows pointing to these 3. Once you build that 10 on the board, these 3 are free if they can touch number 10. You know, you have to be able to do that. So you're thinking in your head, okay, I want to be able to get those out there for free, because, you know, resources, that's an action. Several times, I mean, during the game, I had no cards. I mean, I had to not build any buildings and not put out any buildings on my player mat, and instead I would use all 3 of my build actions for buildings to draw 3 cards from the deck, just to build up a reserve of resources so I could start building buildings out here on the board. So there's that push and pull thing. What do you want to do? I mean, and then you want to get these buildings out on your player mat because you want to build those ones first that give you free ones. And so you want to get those out there, and it's that fight to decide what to do first. But getting a route from one city to the other, that would take a talent and skill. We've only played a couple of times, but I can see that this is a terrific game. I have never played Attica, but everybody raves about it. And it's got a great rating on Board Game Geek. And I like this game. I like the production of it, the publishing job that Super Meeple did on this game. Of course, I have Tikal that Super Meeple published, and that was a fantastic publishing job in Tikal, and I love that game. But this is a fun game. I had never played Attica, and I was anxious to, when I saw this on the floor of the game store, I was like, hey, and I reference this guy all the time. His channel is Board Game Gem, or Board Gems, right?
Gems, Board Gems.
And he takes Attica and US Telegraph and compares the two, and then tells you if he thinks it's still a gem. And if you haven't subscribed to his channel, please do. It's Board Gems.
I'll put it on the screen.
But he does a nice job explaining why these older games are still attractive and fun to play. And this is no exception. Once you build some of these buildings, you have to take one of these tokens and put them on your mat so that you know you've built that particular number, and it helps keep things in order up here in your head.
He said Attica didn't come with those. You had to use your own markers.
Yeah, so
this time around they provided them.
But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed the game.
Yeah, I did too.
It's a very nice
The first time you played it, I was shocked, because there's just we're like, there's no way you can build that path.
But I mean, you have to play this game a while.
Yeah.
Because there's a little bit to it, and you're definitely trying to think to yourself the best way to get these buildings out so that you can do as much as you can possibly do for free. And that's the secret to getting these buildings out very quickly. Because again, that's a winning condition. If you get all 30 buildings built, you win the game. I've just got to work more on that. We're going to have to try different things, see if we can get from city to city. But you'll be sacrificing certain things to try to make that happen, so I don't know.
Now you can draw off that stack and place them directly on the board if they're playable.
Yeah.
If you can play them.
And then on these tiles that you can see here on the board, if you're going to build a building on one of these resources where you see the resources, then you don't have to pay that particular resource on the building tile if it happens to have that. So that helps you build faster. And then also, if you don't have the item that in your resources, that particular resource card in your reserve, if you have 2 of another resource, you can use that as a substitution. So that kind of helps mitigate some of that a little bit.
It could be 2 of 2 different ones too. Yeah. Just 2 cards.
2 cards. Oh, okay, 2 cards, yeah.
Just 2 cards can be another resource.
So yeah, that's US Telegraph. I want to tell you guys about it. Again, we picked this up probably 2 weeks ago at our local game store, which we go up there once in a while and see what's going on. We've picked up a few things there. And this is one of them, and I'm very happy we got this game. You know, as many years as we've been playing board games, there's so many board games that certain things are going to slip by you, and this is one of them. I mean, I had heard of Attica, but I had not had the exposure. Even going to conventions and stuff, we have a list of games that we want to go play. We want to play the hot games that are there, and then we have a list of games that we're interested in that are older that we've never had the opportunity to play. So we try to cover as many as we can, and this Attica and US Telegraph is one that had gotten by us for a long time. But when I saw that on the game store floor, I said, hey, I want to try that game. So anyway, hey, that's US Telegraph. I'm wandering here. That's US Telegraph. If you haven't played this or Attica, I just want to tell you it's a very, very it's a rewarding and rich experience. It's a light to medium weight Euro, and once you learn how to do it, putting this puzzle together is a lot of fun.
We need some more plays.
Yeah.
The cats attacked us, so we had to put it away.
All right, so we'll move on to another game. I'll see you next time on Bones Collector. Okay, everybody, that was a couple of games out of our library that we wanted to share with you. And always remember to keep on board gaming. It's the best hobby on the planet. Bye-bye.